What a joke. The Trump campaign announced the LGBTQ plus coalition that had been expected to launch in June, and they're blaming coronavirus.
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. While I was voguing there and doing my thing, to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can listen live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. This is going to be a very fun episode. Well, we all know the story behind Free Mom Hugs and its founder, Sara Cunningham, and her amazing mission to support millions of LGBTQ people all over the U.S. And now you'll get to hear from the person who inspired this formidable woman's transformation and her journey. Her son, Parker Cunningham, he's our guest tonight. He's going to join us on the second half of the show, and we're super excited to have him. My name is Tom, and I'm your host. And as always, I'm here in the studio, not by myself, but with other people and other hosts, starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And, of course, our returning guest host.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Jay, and welcome you all to
The Dish.
We're going to need to work on that. It's always weird, right? Because for years, it's always been Tom, Nick, Chris, and then The Dish. And then having Elsie come into the fold.
So maybe I should go last now.
Yeah, well, Nick, Dish.
Nick or Trish?
Trish, Dish, yes. So whenever we don't have... Whenever we don't have Chris in the studio, then we'll make you go last.
Oh, this is going to get complicated.
Yeah, I know, right? So after 5 years, we can't figure it out. But either way, we always have fun when we're here. We're amongst friends. We're talking about things that are impacting our community every week. And there are subjects and things that we need to talk about so that people are aware that they're happening all over the U.S. and even all over the globe. And so that's why we do what we do every week. Anyway, I'd like to kick off the show, of course, as we always do with our weeks. What we've been doing for the past week.
Bless you.
Girl.
I just had some plantain chips. These things are amazing, and so they were like sort of kind of tickling my throat. And that's what happened there.
So
like a lot of things.
I was saying earlier, you know, when somebody sneezes or coughs now, usually it's like, God bless you, or are you okay? But now it's like, you just got to look. It's like
Corona. Like, seriously. You're right, though.
Sick?
Girl, you know you're better.
Sick?
Watch out. Some guys are gonna give you Corona. That thing. God, I love Lauryn Hill. I miss her.
Wear a mask and fuck them from the back. Anyway.
Or have them pop their ass out a window and then you'll be fine.
Oh, forgot about that.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
That was my suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I solved my problem.
Yeah, but you did the front window. You should have done the back window because all your neighbors got a show.
Anyway, so I'm going to toss it over, of course, to our friend Trish over here that's sitting on this side.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us how your week has been? What have you been doing? Obviously, we announced some exciting news for you last week.
Uh-huh.
And you've been doing a lot of amazing things this week. Well, I mean, yeah, you have. Tell us, how has your week been?
It's been good. I mean, we talked about last week. I am now officially a board member of the New Haven Pride Center, which is so exciting, and I'm super excited about everything that they're doing and the future of it. We've been continually getting great news, but this weekend I volunteered my time, which is weird for me because normally I have no time, but now that I'm unemployed, I have time. So I volunteered my time, and I helped deliver basically groceries to families in need in the LGBTQ plus community. And I believe they spent, almost...
I think it was close to like over $5,000 worth of...
Yeah, the amount of people that I only delivered to 6 families, and that took me about 2 hours. But like the amount of people and cars that were there taking this, and it was like fresh produce. It wasn't just like, canned goods, and it was everything that they needed, probably for a couple of days, hopefully a week. But it just felt really good to like help out people and I don't know, deliver food to people in need. And I got a few phone calls because like you leave them at the front door, and a couple of people called me just to thank me, and it just felt good to not only support the New Haven Pride Center, but support people that are in need right now.
And that's amazing. And when you think about a lot of cities all over the US have local pride centers, and when you can find support from your local pride centers, it is important to realize what impact they have in
Hmm.
our communities. And that's why, when Patrick Dunn became the executive director of the Pride Center 3 years ago.
After I slammed it.
Yeah, pretty much, right? 3 or 4 years ago when we started the show, I had never been a member, an official member of any Pride organization. Shame on me, but immediately because I knew Patrick was going to do an amazing job, I became an official member,
Hmm.
and so I pay my dues every year, like a lot of the members do, and that goes a long way in really securing and making sure that they have the basics of what they need to operate. And then of course there's also fundraising and things
Yeah.
that go on to ensure that they can provide the programs that they need.
I mean, just thinking about like the fact that I did a fundraiser and I raised just over 700, I believe, for my birthday for
Right.
the New Haven Pride
Hmm.
Center. They spent what? What did you say? Just over $5,000 on food for hundreds of families in the greater New Haven area. That $700 is a huge portion of that. So
Right.
like if you can give $5, if you can give $25, if you can become a member at 25, 50, 100, those dollars make a huge difference.
Of course.
They're feeding families right now.
That's right. And amidst Corona. So they had to shift, right? Because before they used to have programs that were directly integrated into the communities and where people were at. And so members would come in, people would come into the Pride Center, parents. They would have trans programs.
Hmm.
They would talk about, the different things that were affecting the community and how we can overcome
Clothing
those.
drives.
Yeah, I mean, they did so much. And all of that was because we were able to continue to support our local Pride Center. So, what I ask of you as a listener, if you're a member of the LGBT community, please, I implore you, find your local LGBTQ center and support them because they do great work
Hmm.
for the community. And it is important to, even if you can, like Nick said, it could be $5, it could be $10 a month, it could be 100 if you could every month. Do it because I tell you the impact that that has on members of our
Hmm.
community when they need it most. It is incredible.
Yeah, no, they had different packages. So there was family and regular. So like I'm assuming like maybe, two people or one person was a regular package and then you had
Right.
a family package. But one of my favorite moments was I dropped off a package at this one house and I knocked on the door because there was no number to call.
Hmm.
And no one came to the door. So I left it, got into my car, put in the next address. And the next thing I see is a little boy. And I'm saying like this kid must have been like 4, maybe 5, opens the door and just smiles because like there's like a box full of food on his front step, and then what I assume is his mother comes and waves and thank you, whatever. But then I started thinking about the fact that like a lot of kids can't go back to school right now, and a
Right.
lot of families relied on school lunches for their kids.
That's right.
And those lunches, in a lot of circumstances, especially in the greater New Haven area, are subsidized by the state and or city.
Right.
So a lot of these kids haven't been getting the amount of food that they're used to.
In some districts, I will tell you, the city of New Haven, I believe Bridgeport did the same thing.
Yes.
They kept the schools open specifically for that. Obviously, social distancing and all of that. You could go on specific days and get enough breakfast, or I believe, yeah, they were doing breakfast.
They would hand out the breakfast, the what would be the equivalent of a breakfast, or sometimes the breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
For like 2 or 3 days, and then they would open the school 2 or 3 days out of the week for people to come in and pick those breakfasts up. So there were certain school districts that were able to do that, but that's not the case for everyone. So as
Hmm.
you were saying,
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was really powerful to see the smile on the kid's face.
right,
No, and like the fact that like what it wasn't like processed food or, the crap that a lot of people buy and serve their kids. You had fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, canned goods. Like it was appropriate food for a family, and it made me happy to see that little boy smile when he opened the door and saw a box full of veggies and fruit, and it was a powerful moment. I mean, like, and it makes me feel even better about joining the Pride Center because I know that the work they're doing is so far surpassing where it was 3.5, 4 years ago
Right.
when I was like kind of having a little bit of an issue with the Pride Center not being as visible and being out there. Patrick took over, and the reins that he took, I mean, he's taking it to new heights. I mean, he has plans for the future. It's going to be amazing, and what he's doing it's really powerful, and I'm just really proud to be a part of it and proud to work with him in general because he's brilliant.
So let me ask you a question. You find yourself impacted by coronavirus. You're unemployed currently. You're collecting
Uh-huh.
unemployment. Obviously, it's not the full salary that,
Hmm.
typically when you collect unemployment, you don't get that full salary that people expect that you do get. So everything is always cut. And so to see yourself impacted as a result of coronavirus and helping families that are also impacted as because of COVID, does that change your perspective on how people are managing through this pandemic?
um
Does it give you a little bit more understanding or more? Can you be a bit more empathetic of their situation, given that you yourself also are impacted monetarily by COVID?
Um, yes and no. So I'm very empathetic to anybody that has been impacted by COVID-19, lost their job, and is struggling and is living on unemployment, especially now that the stimulus money is no longer there. That being said, I think that there are situations where people, and I know this because I have a lot of business owner friends, um, abused the fact that they were receiving that additional money when they were originally laid off, and when they then were offered a job, um, declined it. Whether and honestly, if you feel uncomfortable working, I get it 100%, but like declined it because they were making more money. And
On unemployment that they were with their own employment.
and that being said, I've never been on unemployment, but I've been paying into it for 20 something years.
Right.
So there, in a weird way, I personally don't feel bad trying to take my time and figure it out. But I think that certain individuals have the ability to abuse the system. That being said, the people that I was interacting with, barely interacting with, I don't feel as though that if you're reaching out to a Pride Center for food, I don't feel as though you're abusing the system, and it
Right.
felt good to me to help them. If that makes sense, and I hope that doesn't make our listeners upset. Me saying,
No, 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 no. It does. I guess what I was trying to get at is being that you yourself are unemployed at the moment. Does it make you relate more with with the with the project that the Pride Center launched in assisting people and making sure that they had food? Does it resonate with you more as opposed to you having employment? And not really, okay, this is just something that the Pride Center and I are going to do, and we're just going to go out and deliver.
I mean, yeah, for sure, because like for example, I applied for food stamps because I have no income besides unemployment, which is just under 500 a week, which was a lot less than I was making. And I was denied food stamps because of that, which means that out of my unemployment, not only do I have to pay all my bills, but I also have to pay for food and everything else, right? And utilities and all that stuff. So yes, 100%. Like I get it and I understand it more. But at the same time, I don't know. It's difficult. It's hard. Yeah, I don't know. I align with it far more, and I can like sympathize far more now. But I'm also way more privileged than a lot of people in ways. Like if I were in a tight spot, I personally don't think I would have to worry. Whereas a lot of families do.
Right.
So it helps me sympathize, but from kind of like a shaded lens almost, right?
Okay.
Because I mean, I'm not going to say white privilege, but yeah, that's my white privilege, my privilege in general. I come from a family that's comfortable. Like, if something were to happen, not that I'm asking for money now, but if something were to happen, I know that I would be okay.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean? But a lot of these families don't have that support and
Right.
don't have that,
Mhm.
that, you know, net to fall back on. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, the point that you're trying to make is yes, I sympathize with them more, and it felt really good to do that, and I look forward to doing more things like that as well.
I think it's an amazing thing what they did. So, my friend Jay Bear over here joining us, of course, once more. How are you, my dear, and how was your week?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. A
Yeah.
lot of food, a lot of stuff,
As always, yes. Had a good time. As you know, my in-laws came up
right?
to visit for a couple of days.
Gladys.
Yes,
Gladys.
it was his mother-in-law's birthday,
On Friday.
and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
And you know, it was the Friday night was the highlight of her birthday. We
bingo
played
night.
bingo.
So I'll tell you a little bit of what I've been doing. So my mother is a bingo fanatic, right? She's always going to like bingos every Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that. And amidst COVID, no one has been able to go into any type of church establishment, which is typically where they hold bingo. They do it usually in the hall of the church down in the basement somewhere. And so it's been closed, and she's been really like wanting to play bingo. So for fun, I ordered all of these like cards on Amazon, the little paper ones that you use at these actual bingos. And so we got a whole group of us together and played bingo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Go-
So my mother-in-law, same thing. She's already accustomed to playing every week at the community center in Brooklyn. And by the way, she was, you know, she is from Brooklyn, New York. So
Yeah.
decided to come visit, and they happened to mention it. And of course, me being at Tom's the prior weekend playing bingo, I figured let me give him a call. And
It's a Friday
yeah,
night thing.
it's a Friday night thing. Let me just confirm everything's okay and everybody's okay with it. So we came up, had a blast. I won $70.
All I
Yes.
have to say is I showed up, and in true Tom fashion, it wasn't just bingo. It was like electronic bingo.
Yes, it
He had a
was.
TV, he had an iPad set up, there was a speaker, and every single time somebody won, this bitch is like, "Oh, you got to put $1 in the house pot." And so I'm like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
you're so," and
The
I'm like,
infamous
"Oh,
house
so like
pot.
the last round, somebody can win the house pot." And then Tom's like, "No, that's mine."
That's mine.
And I was like, this bitch is taking our money.
No. It's not that I'm taking your money. I have to buy these cards. So, you have to
No,
order
I know,
those.
I know.
And,
But it was just
pretty-
funny because I was like, oh my God, that's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be great. And it's not
Yeah.
that much.
No,
It's like
it's-
maybe $30.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. But, it's a fun time, and it's a way for them to sort of kind of, forget a little bit, right? Get away from the fact that we're
Exactly.
still, and we did, the appropriate thing. So because
There
Jay
were
came
tables
up,
all over.
Yeah.
yes, because Jay came up with his family. So that him and his family have that's the nucleus, and so they sat at a table on the other side of the patio. My mother and I and people in my side of the family sat on another table, and so we sort of kind of kept people away from each other to try to social distance as best as we can, so while we're enjoying ourselves. And we did hors d'oeuvres and things like that, and it was fun.
Yeah, we had a blast. We had a blast, and I did a fish boil for her on
Mm.
Saturday as well.
So you
Um,
posted something on Facebook about that. You had a lot of things. Talk about that a
a
little
whole
bit.
lot. So I mean, it's kind of, for one thing, I love cooking. Love cooking. Worked in the kitchen many years ago. Um, I've worn a lot of hats. You could say in my
He
timeline.
still wears a lot of hats.
Still wear a lot of hats.
And now a headset.
Yes, and now I'm transitioning into something new. Um, but yeah, I love to cook for the family. Actually, my wife rarely cooks. Maybe once a year.
Because he does it so well.
So yeah,
Like literally, this man can throw down in the kitchen. Like
I
you've
love
got pots, things happening. Like when this man cooks, he uses the entire counter, and that's when you know the shit's going down and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy
So,
it.
so what did you
So-
have in that pot? Because there
So,
was a lot in
yeah,
there.
the fish boil. It's a 50-quart pot, boil pot.
Mm,
So it's pretty
huge.
much almost to the brim.
Wow.
We had crawfish, we had clams, we had mussels, we had shrimp, we had crayfish, lobster claws, snow crab legs,
All in one pot?
all in one pot.
And now how
It's
do
a big
you
boil.
prepare it? And then what do you put it over top of?
So basically, it's just a boil. You're basically boiling everything. You throw this like the seafood boil seasoning in it, a couple of beers, lemons, onions, flavor to your liking. You boil it up, cook it all up together, and then you spread it out on the table or
You just go at it.
just go at it. So I just happen to have a very large decorative metal bowl, and it, the stuff in the pot was enough to fill it to the top.
Oh my god.
To the top.
That's
It was
insane.
amazing. We had a great time, and I don't eat a lot of shellfish because I'm allergic, but I cook the hell out of it. Always cook for the family. They always love it. I enjoy it. Clams, mussels I can eat, so I went to town on those.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. We had fun, and it's usually what we end up doing is just eating, having time with the family, and having a few drinks and
A few dozen.
a few dozen.
That was the first time I got to meet your family. They are a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah, his daughters are great. I mean, I've known Jay now for what, like almost
over
God.
12 years. Easy.
Yeah.
We've been working together for 10 years.
Since 2007. I think that's when I met you, when
Yeah.
I first moved to downtown New Haven.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I told your daughter I was going to steal her husband, so.
Oh.
Oh, that's happening. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no,
good
but it
luck.
was great. Overall, it's a great time, and it's just something to just really take the edge off COVID and the hostility, right? Because it is hostile to have to be barricaded in your house and not be able to really enjoy yourself and take advantage of the fact that we had an amazing summer. It's about to come to an end. Labor Day is next week.
Stop yelling at me.
And I know, right? And so, you just have to make the best as safely as possible, make the best of the time that we had left before it starts getting dark at 4 o'clock and before the cold comes back creeping in, and you say to yourself, where did the year go? It's already September.
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to 2021 where we can all yell out,
Jumanji! Right, literally, like at 12 on 12/31 at 12 midnight onto the 1st, we're yelling Jumanji because that Happy New Year shit is not happening. Seriously. All right, well, listen, it is 6:26. Our conversation, of course, of our weekends and stuff took us past the time frame that we had allotted. We do have some stories. We might get to them after our guest, but we do have a guest, which means that right now we are certainly going to make sure that we go to break so that we can bring our guest back on time. So we're going to leave you with some music, and when we come back, we have Parker Cunningham joining us. Again, he's also part of the organization Free Mom Hugs, which is an incredible, indelible, amazing organization. We're super excited to have him on the show. Here's some music. We will be right back.
She was waiting by the back door, said, babe, we gotta leave town. Get your shit, get your suitcase, your dog, your guitar, cause we gotta go now, cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names, yes, they're coming, just to say, well, I know you don't want to leave your life. You've had some blood and tears, little joy, little strife, but they're coming. Well, they're coming down the road, yes, they're coming, truth be told. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place, but they're coming just the same. Got a knapsack full of judgment, hypocrisy, and lies. And they're talking so much hateful bullshit, they've begun to gather flies. But they're coming. Well, don't look 'em in the eyes. Yes, they're coming. No surprise. And with so much terror in our past, how are you so surprised it's come to bite you in the ass? Yes, it's coming. Well, it's nipping at your heels. Yes, it's coming for the kill. And don't forget the whiskey, and I'll meet you at the station where we can get on that train. Head out to the wastelands where we can change our names. 'Cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names. Yes, they're coming. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same.
All right, welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. That, of course, was Wastelands, the title track to the album for Amanda Barrick, her debut album, released on July 31st. It is available on all major music services. Make sure that you go check it out. She was also a previous guest of ours here on the show. And now we all know the story of Free Mom Hugs, and of course, its founder, Sara Cunningham, and the amazing mission to support LGBTQ people all over the U.S. Now we get to hear from the person who inspired this formidable woman's amazing journey. Welcome to the show, her son, Parker Cunningham. How are you?
Doing so good. How are you guys?
We are wonderful. We just had a very, very chillax first half of the show. We talked about weeks, and it sort of kind of carried us right into break. And but now we want to talk about your story because it's
All right,
amazing,
all
and I
right.
think it's awesome. So before we do that, we want to introduce you to some of the people here in the studio. Of course, we've got Nick here sitting to my right.
Hi.
Hi. And I'm Tom, of course, and then of course we've got our friend Jay Bear over here sitting
Hey.
with us. And so we're going to jump right into our interview because I think that your story and what has happened as a result of your coming out and your relationship with your mom has really changed a lot of lives. But before we go into that, tell us a little bit of who you are and a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, I'm Parker Cunningham. I am currently the LGBTQIA plus advocate for Free Mom Hugs, and inadvertently also the son of Sara Cunningham, who is currently taking over the world. So it's a really cool position to be in. But I'm also an artist. I did hair for 13 years, and as many major life things that take us to other places that kind of came out of nowhere. So life has changed a lot for us in the last, 5 years or so.
So,
Um,
so how did you go from coming out to your mom creating Free Mom Hugs? Like, what was that process?
well, it took 22 years. But I mean, really, for us, our story is unique and not at all unique. I use the term unremarkable a lot because it's still a very common thing that happens. So um, we both started going to an evangelical church. Our family started going to a church just on the street, and we loved that place. And it was our family, and just through the messages there, and also the messages from the outside world, I knew that it wasn't okay to be who I was. And through years of coming out on accident, coming out on purpose, notes found in my pockets, doing laundry, random stuff. It's like we had to keep having this conversation, and it always came back to God, essentially. Um, but I mean, it was a conversation we were having, and finally, when I was 21, I had met someone, and I was seeing them, and it was kind of like, okay, you've got to either be with me or you're gonna miss a lot of this, and that's when our journey really started. I always thought, I was on this journey this whole time, but it really started then. So
So your mom had an issue um, an issue accepting the fact that she had a gay son. Obviously, she had to find her way to get to the point where she could still love you for being who you
mhm,
were. She wrote a book
mhm.
about it. She wrote a book about her experience. And then things changed for you, right? You had that
Yeah,
conversation. You did the work. You sat down, you talked through it. And then she posted that post,
yes,
that
the
infamous
post.
post on Facebook that said, if you don't have the support of your parents or your
Hmm.
mom, I'll be your mom. I'll be your stand-in. I'll go to your wedding and be that support that you need.
Yeah.
How did she get there? Like
Yeah.
what conversation that you have with your mother that you said that so what was the point in your conversation in your journey with you and your
Mhm.
mom that she finally got it?
Well, I think it was really that culminated effort of 21 years of having conversations and having her just this is how I've always spoken. I've always talked with my hands. I always, I was always really, really gay. And, I think for us, or for her specifically, because I mean, yes, we all had the same journey. We started going to church at the same time. I mean, she went to church a few times when she was growing up, but we really started our Christ journey at the same time. And so we have two different versions of the same result. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it was just coming out, coming out, coming out. But for her, it was really searching the Word of God and asking people that she was like-minded with, and asking community members that she knew and trusted, and some of their answers were not so good, and some of them were really comforting and just had been quiet for a long time. And but it was through that I think she came to understand, like, this is my son. I don't really have another option but to love him and accept him and celebrate him, but also seeing this happen all day, every day, all around, So
Right.
I think that's even how she got started with her advocacy. I don't think if she had not received those stories from other people, received hateful rhetoric from people that we had been family members with for a really long time, I don't think that um, she would have fully comprehended that this isn't just happening to me. It happens to my neighbors. It happens to my friends. It happens to kids I'm going to school with and other kids in our church, And so really that journey was what got her to where she is now, is her own research and getting educated. And um,
Was there a specific catalyst though? Like, was there a moment for your mother that she was like, I need to say something?
say something like to
Where that
about me being gay, or
no,
like about her coming around.
about that post that came out right before she started Free Mom Hugs. Was there like a catalyst, like, these people need support, these people need love, something happened to create
Well,
that?
she had, maybe a year or two. I don't really remember how long it had been of her, coming to terms and getting educated, reading the books, checking out PFLAG and websites and stuff. And I do remember I was seeing that same person at the time, and I remember her saying, I think I'm gonna go to the Pride Parade, and we were both just like, okay, okay, like not with us, like you're just going by yourself, and um I remember that whole, like, it was a few days and just thinking, like, we'll see if she shows up. And not that, I knew that she'd been doing a lot of work, but that was going to be a huge step for her. And a lot of people don't know this, but in Oklahoma City, our gay district is one street. It's like two city blocks. It's 39th Street, and it's very close to our house. It's like right down the street from our house. So I knew that journey for her was going to be really, really long. Um, but she came with a friend, and showed up. And one thing about the Oklahoma gay scene too is we have a lot of church. We don't have a ton of affirming. We do have some really affirming churches that are doing really wonderful things for the LGBTQ community. But we've also recently had a lot of churches coming out as allies and saying, we're here, we're here, we're here. So, yeah, we had drag queens, and we had, the beer companies and the Pride Parade and all this stuff, but we also had like 7 or 8 churches with, all these people marching. And I think that was a huge thing for her. It's just seeing that illustration of me and all my friends, the people that helped raise me when she couldn't, and also her people of faith, marching down the street just saying, I'm here for you. They weren't all gay people. They were mostly not gay people, and
Right.
I think that was validating for her, and to see um, just those people like her, just showing up and support, and seeing how simple of a message that was, a message of hope, and how big that is.
So, two questions before we dive into Free Mom Hugs completely.
Hmm.
One, you've been talking about faith a lot, so I want to know where you and your mom are at with that, and how you handle that as part of the LGBTQ plus community. Um, so let's start there. Let's start there.
Let's start there, 'cause I have a very short train of memory. So um, it used to be a really uncomfortable question because I haven't been a person of faith for a really long time. Um, and I say that more so because until things change in the world as far as Christianity goes, I don't think I could revisit that. However,
Right.
in the time with Free Mom Hugs and with advocacy, we have, so Church of the Open Arms is a fully affirming LGBTQ friendly church down the street from us. And I remember growing up in my church, and they would say, just down the street, they're preaching this, and they've started doing this and all this stuff. That is the most love-filled place in the city that I can think of. and it is very redeeming. Not that it's, people of faith's job to redeem that for me. Again, because I'm not a person of faith, but it does redeem that part of humanity and how good that can be. And it sets a standard for other places and holds other places responsible for, there's no excuse to not be an open and affirming place. And if your place of worship is not affirming in that way, then you need to revisit a few things. So in some ways, I've been able to be more objective about religion and just clear cut, and not everything is an illustration or a lesson, but more so just seeing the beauty in it, and it has redeemed a lot for me. But also watching my mom, as a woman of faith, still navigate this and be a fully affirming ally. People need that, and there are a lot of people in our community that are people of faith still, and are searching for that. So I can't necessarily fully 100% reject something that is also welcoming in a large group of my community too. So that has been really wonderful. There's been a lot of redeeming things. I gave communion for the first time since I was probably 13 last year. I sweat a lot, but I got it done. But yeah,
I can certainly
it's been a
understand.
weird thing, but it's yeah.
It's a good weird.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So I have this weird. I don't know. I personally do. I have a really weird connection to religion. I'm not religious. I was raised Catholic. I
As was I.
do have
Catholic
faith
Mhm.
in my own way. But the more and more I read and the more and more I see, I think that churches are pivoting because of the lack of parishioners and the lack of attendance and the lack of money they're receiving. And do you think that that had anything to do with the fact that you saw an outpouring of 7 or however many different churches at your Pride that year?
One, you should know this about me. I'm a really good cynic. So I will say, I've seen a lot of progress, but as for every person that leaves a church that makes change for the better, they'll build a bigger, more expensive church for people that don't subscribe to that, which is fine too. Everybody needs a place to worship the way they need to and think the way they need to. But it is just more work. I do think it is changing things. And again, sometimes just living authentically for us, and sometimes people of faith being fully affirming and just, this is life, this is what life is. Even that holds people on the outside accountable, or people who do think differently accountable, saying like, there is no God without love, or there is no God without full acceptance of all people. It's simple, but it's doctrine, and
But
that stuff is intimidating.
But throughout history, we see, religion literally using it as a weapon, not only against the LGBTQ plus community, but other communities as well. And I
Yeah.
think that is what I struggle with the most: the amount of lives that we have lost due to, or the amount of minds that have put people down due to religion. And
Absolutely.
I think that's my biggest struggle. And I don't know if you want to talk about that at all,
No,
or
I think that totally makes sense. I think that totally makes sense. So, in the way that, I say mom and I started our faith journeys at the same time, we both read the Bible. She liked it a lot more than I did, but we both read it. And, but so after I came out, she had to legitimately reread it. I mean, for the most part, to really read it. And now thinking about it, instead of saying homosexuals or this or whatever word it is they used, Parker, and like, okay, do I believe this? Do I need to reassess this? And what place of worship can I go that does believe this? And two, I think there is a lot of change as far as, let me rewind. I do think also it is on us as a community who has been largely rejected by the church to also get a little bit more educated. Not that we have not read the Bible, and not that we have not searched out our own spirit, because, if not, we've done nothing else. That's what we've done. But to really look at the Bible, and to, when people want to, read a verse that's not true or not even in there. And honestly, too, we have a really good friend, Kathy Baldock, and she is currently, or she has been for a while, going through the work of finding where homosexuality was put into the Bible, the current translation. and it was just a bunch of old white dudes at a table, and we're like, oh yeah, this is what this translates to. And that was in like 1946,
Right.
1942, 1946. So that's recent, you know what I'm saying? And you just see, the more we know about it, even that's redeeming to me. Like, yes, at first it's like a bunch of old straight white dudes, you know, made this world for us, for Christian, you know, gay people in the Christian world. But at the same point, there are people getting more educated and really learning and going back. And that's also for me, you know, if I'm gonna love and appreciate so many faiths and ideologies, I also have to find that in Christianity. Because there are gay Christians everywhere.
So let me
Yeah.
ask you, in regards to your mom,
hmm
were you surprised when she pivoted?
Um, surprised? I don't think I trusted it enough to be surprised. Does that make sense? I don't think there was, you know, there wasn't a coming out. I've been coming out my entire life. I think
Right.
the first time was in fourth grade, where I was like, used the word gay for myself. So that, I mean, even like I said, even the first Pride Parade, it was like, okay, we'll see. Um, but really, it was just through her action. It was seeing her go volunteer, it was seeing her, you know, hey, I've got a transgender friend that needs help doing this, and it was those things to me. Um, and then just showing up and giving hugs. I mean, that sounds like a we can go into the creation of Free Mom Hugs too, but just showing up to give hugs and to hear that from people I didn't know. I mean, I heard people that first Pride Parade, or that she came to do, so that was technically her second Pride Parade that she showed up to give hugs. I was walking around this Pride Parade and I heard people like, did you see that lady giving hugs? And da 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 da. People I didn't know and never met in my life. And finally I got a hold of her and she's like, yeah, I'm just walking around giving hugs. I got a button on. And just that was a huge signal to me. It sounds so simple, but like there was a reason that people needed that because most of us don't have it, you know?
Right.
So what was that process like for you though? I mean, your mom went viral. You now
mhm,
have an organization called Free Mom Hugs, and you work with your mother on that.
mhm.
What was that like for you getting that publicity and literally kind of changing the face for moms in the gay community? Because this isn't necessarily focused on you specifically. It's about
Right.
mothers who need to support the
hmm
LGBTQ plus community. So what was that process like for you, being in the limelight?
Um, it was, I mean, strange, of course, just because anytime, I mean, we legitimately went dictionary version viral. I mean, so it was all kind of quick, surprise, no one knew us, and then everyone knew us. Um, but I mean, how could you, I don't want to say how could you dispute something great? I mean, of course I'm biased, but it's like she was doing just such simple things that there was no um, way to dispute, like, oh, well, we don't want it to get too big. It's like, I'm just giving hugs. I'm just signing up. I'm just, you know, volunteering. Um, like especially about the book, you know, as she's gone more viral and people are reading her book, people will ask me things about my life, people I've never met before, like, so when you were 13 and da 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 da, and that's really interesting. And um but really it's just the reception has been cool. And I, you know, I get messages here and there, but just to hear the really simple things like, hey, my mom died 6 years ago, I just wanted to tell you I love you, what and what you're doing, and I'm glad to know that you're proud of me. Like, it's not, we're just
It's
doing what we should do, and we're doing what is easy for us to do. And I think people forget to do that, and we've
hmm
had success with it and it's been huge and that's been great, but we're just doing what we needed other people to do for us, you know?
and that's
So
the thing, the simplicity about it's
mhm,
a hug. Something simple as a hug created this movement, because truly it is a movement. You and I, Nick, myself, and you had a conversation prior to you, and we were talking about, like, where is Free Mom Hugs? You had mentioned it is all over the 50 states right now, and you have chapters internationally that may not be affiliated with the U.S. chapter of Free Mom Hugs,
mhm,
but nonetheless the message is the same, and it's very
yeah.
simple. The simplicity of just giving someone nurturing and
Well,
hugging
even
them.
just the signal that you're a safe place, you know,
Right.
a big conversation we've been having as far as, you know, schools restarting, or not being able to touch people, which is really hard to wear the word hug on your shirt when we
Right.
can't touch people. Um,
Which I was
but
going to
about
ask about
wearing,
that.
oh, oh, we can get into it. But even just wearing like the logo or a button or something, you know, we can talk about how Free Mom Hugs is worldwide all day long. But the truth is like we have people everywhere, all over the world, that will wear a button that lets people know they're a safe place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like people are doing, you know, some people are giving food to people, some people are doing, you know, other things. But I mean, just allowing people to know, signaling to the world around you that you are a safe place, literally saves lives. And that has always been international. There are people everywhere that want to do something, but this just gives people, I think, a very simple avenue to do it.
And that's
And that's
amazing.
been really awesome to see.
That's amazing. That's so powerful. I actually, quick, very short story. I went to a hockey game recently.
Very butch.
I know, right?
I was like, I
no,
love hockey.
no, I went to a Yale hockey game, and I'm sitting next to a woman, and I look at her, and she has a transgender pin on her jacket, and I was touched by it. And so of course I reached out and I said something to her, and she's like, "Well, you know, my son's transgender." And I was like, "Holy crap. This woman is doing something so amazing, and she has no idea what that means."
And is that not at the base of things what moms do? You know, like that's that kind of like double-edged sword of moms. You know, it kind of changes the stereotype of moms, this, that, and the other. But what more is it that anyone wishes their mom would do, or that moms historically have been good at, other than just showing up and blowing your mind and having no idea that they did it, you know, or just.
And it's
So,
fantastic.
yeah.
Like moms are super women, like superhumans, I always say. So let's talk about how COVID has impacted Free Mom Hugs as an organization, right? It's like you're all about the physical contact. Let me give you a hug. Let me show you and reaffirm that you are supported, that you are loved, that you are part of us. How does that work in COVID 2020?
Well, it started with a lot of carbs, lots and lots of carbs, and stressed out Zoom calls,
Right.
morning wine spritzers. But really, we just had to kind of hit the ground running and really establish. I mean, we were heading into Pride season, which for us, I mean, for the US now, Pride season is April to October. But I mean, May, June, July for us is our busiest time. You know, it's when we travel, it's when we're going to these Pride events and organizing moms all around the US. So, you know, March, we were like, oh, this sucks. Let's, you know, keep it going. And then as that got closer, Pride season got closer, it was hard not to get discouraged. Cause I mean, even the people who don't do what we do, they just show up and hug. And that's, you know, the most powerful part of this. And we have a phrase called going beyond the hug. And it's kind of the things that the moms do independently, that are not necessarily things that we do as an organization, but just things that go beyond the hug. Like, okay, you've given the hug. What more? Is it just a call to make sure someone's well? Is it this? So really, I mean, watching these moms organize all across the US and figure out, you know, contacting GSAs in their state, well checks. I mean, just calling in, dropping off. There was one mom who makes brown beans. That's just what she's known for. And she was taking pots of brown beans to drag queens. I called it Beans for Queens. I told her to make shirts, but she hasn't done it yet.
I love it.
That's awesome.
But you know, like that's just going beyond the hug. And I think everyone's capable of a hug, yes, but not everyone's a hugger. And we are all capable of doing just anything else. I mean,
So
we just had to kind of re-navigate what that looks like.
So, as a nonprofit organization, obviously, you guys you receive most of your funding through grants or donations and all of that. What type of what we know what Free Mom Hugs is, right? But what does that funding go to? Like, what are the programs you're doing? What are the things that?
Absolutely. So that allows us to provide resources, information to keep our chapters going. Because really, that when the viralness happened and everyone was saying, you know, I want to do this, that really is what jump-started us into organizing these national chapters. And it's all been great, but it just helps us keep those going. It keeps my mom, Sara, available to do, she's just recently a paid staff person, which is awesome. So she can dedicate herself to this. She was working full-time before this. But mostly it's keeping our stuff going. And we just recently sent out some COVID care packages. It again with COVID, it all does kind of change, but right now our focus is just keeping those chapter going and giving them the tools they need to to educate people and to help their communities. And all these communities are very different too, so the needs are different.
Yeah.
But really just keeping them inspired and keeping the things they need with them. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I have a question. I'm gonna cut it.
I was actually going to throw it over to
Please,
you.
like at any point
Yeah.
in time.
I'm always the quiet one. Anyways, my I would like to know, how has this changed you as a person? This whole process.
Well, there have been lots of different phases to it, but it authenticates me more by the day. Because there are things that, I mean, Mom and I are still working through, on this journey. There are
Mhm.
things that, when we have someone from the community come and say, I have this need, or I just need a message of love, or whatever it is, it's like we see that in our own stories. And through that too, that helps us be better advocates too. So in the way that I say our story is unremarkable, and that's why it's so palatable and feasible for people to take in, it just opens your mind to that this is happening everywhere all the time. So
Right.
just if you just live your life with it sounds so corny. I almost said with your arms wide open, but just thinking of a hug. But it's like, I don't know, just every day by the day. I mean, I just feel like we become more and more ourselves, and sometimes that's really messy, and sometimes it's really fun to watch, and sometimes it's exhilarating and exciting. Um, but most importantly, I'm just so thankful that Mom and I both are able to become more ourselves every day.
That's amazing. So Jay is an ally. He's a huge part of our community, but he has a huge family as well with daughters and granddaughters.
Children.
How does so there are two parts of this because I want you
Mhm.
to talk a little bit more.
Mhm.
How does something like this make you feel? Imagine if your daughter didn't have but needed that hug, right? But then I also want you to talk a little bit about more of the work that you're doing because you're working for an advocacy foundation, really,
Mhm.
as a gay man. So
Mhm.
there are two levels here that I think are really important to touch on.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think. Well, I know Nick and I don't have as much history as Tom and I do.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, they're actually, I've had two daughters that at one point or another questioned and experimented and decided it wasn't for them. We were okay with that. That for us as parents, you feel this way, and it wasn't really an open conversation. And I think it's because my wife and I were always so open with our kids,
Mhm.
and we were always uh, we're very open, very very simplistic in our ways. Through high school, we had about 13 kids living with us,
Oh, wow.
4 of which were our daughters, and the rest were their friends.
Mhm.
Because we provided that safe space,
Yeah.
whether you were gay, straight, bisexual, questioning.
Mhm.
To us, it didn't really matter. To us, it was just a matter of having a safe place to hang out. Uh,
Mhm.
so even when that question came up with our own children, um, it wasn't a what did we do wrong type of situation. It was like, okay, be safe, do this, do that.
Mhm.
So I think for us that was also a big change. I'm very open about a lot of things. I don't go around telling everybody my business. It's just me.
Yep.
But I've been, openly bi for years. My wife is aware. I choose to be with my wife. I'm happy where I'm at. Um, and there's a lot of stigmatism with bisexuality, where normally you're stigmatized as, oh, you're just greedy. You hear a lot of that.
Mhm.
You're just greedy. You just like both, and you just want to get into everything. It's not the case.
Well, there's nothing
Um,
wrong with that if that's what you wanted to do
yeah,
either.
some people like to swirl their chocolate and vanilla together, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
So, it's a matter of providing that safe space and being able to do that. I volunteered with the New Haven Gay Youth program for years
Mhm.
with the New Haven Pride Center prior to it taking off and being as grand as it is now. But yeah, it's an experience nonetheless,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes you have to really step back and reassess, because sometimes something as simple as a hug um, could be a gesture of just saying hello, and then you
Mhm.
feel people that kind of uh, grab
Hold
onto you a
on.
little longer,
Mhm.
and you know that
No.
they need that extra 2-minute hug.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if it
Mhm.
turns into a crying session and a talk, then it is. But
Yeah, all we do is cry. All we
yeah,
do is cry.
yeah. It's very amazing. I've experienced it, so I know exactly where you guys are coming from as far as the free mom hugs, and I applaud you guys for what you're doing. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, and you see too, I mean, I feel like, especially, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of being, a non-gay ally, but it's like, the world is on fire all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 10,000 things you want to do, and you want to buy them groceries, keep their lights on. You want to, go beat up that person that said that thing about them. You want to go talk to their parents because they're, being shitty. And you just realize how simple it is, just living by example too. And especially with free mom hugs, I mean, we've got dads, moms, brothers, sisters, I mean, everybody, nanas, dogs. And it's kind of figuring out, I don't want to say their archetype, but it's like when we have this big group of people who are just available, someone who doesn't have their father in their life, someone who doesn't have their mother in their life, someone who doesn't have their nana in their life, will 9 out of 10 times come to the mother, the father, or the nana, and it's like, just by being that person. But I applaud you for just being a safe place for that too. And I think a lot of allies that would say like, well, of course I never judged my kids, or well, of course, like whenever they come out, it was just whatever. I don't think you guys realize how powerful that is, because people don't know that that's okay. Like,
Exactly.
people need that validation too.
Right.
And also, as a bisexual parent, as a parent of LGBTQ kids, I mean, A, there are more of you than you probably think, but B, if there are parents out there, especially in our groups, that are, I can't tell you how many of our parents have come out since joining Free Mom Hugs,
Mm-hmm.
and not even just coming out as in like, now I'm be able to be myself, but they can identify themselves because they meet another bisexual parent, or they
Right.
meet another non-binary parent. It's just incredible to see that happen too. I mean, can you imagine just having that bond in one household?
Right.
So,
Um,
I know that Free Mom Hugs has been around for the better part, like 4 or 5 years.
mhm,
Marriage equality passed in 2015.
mhm,
You guys are from Oklahoma. What was it like
mhm.
in Oklahoma before marriage equality? And what was it like to think that, in 5 years' time, you would have such an amazing program and such an amazing organization established in a
Mhm.
post marriage equality decision rule that changed lives for many LGBTQ people?
Well, I think in Oklahoma, I mean, yes, it was a shit show, but it was also a very complacent thing too. You know what I mean? So as much as it was like, I mean, before it had passed, it was like, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. But people in Oklahoma are very used to, it'll probably never change. So I think, I mean, even for me, I remember the day it happened. I was on I was doing hair at the time, and I was out of town. I was in California, like one of the gayest places in the US, and with all these straight women, female hairstylists, and I come downstairs, and they're all like, "Congratulations!" And I'd already been married for like 2 years, or we went out of state. But anyway, I just remember thinking like, well, I wonder if that happened in Oklahoma too. Like, they were explaining to me that like this thing had passed, and I
Right.
was like, oh, I love that for California. Um, but, fast forward, again, through hearing the stories of these parents everywhere, you hear these parents that have been fighting for marriage equality, that have 50, 60-year-old kids, people who have been like on this side of things a lot longer than we have. Um, and that's huge too. None of this is new. It's ongoing. And that,
Mhm.
that, helps people understand how important it is that we're
Mhm.
still having this conversation,
Hmm.
and that we're still worried about things being revoked, and that
Yep.
there's still, a long way to go on a lot of different subjects as far as, equality and marriage and
And it's
babies
not
and
just
stuff.
here.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so that's been really, really cool. But I mean, as far as after, I mean, just the my favorite part has been seeing people that have been doing this work for a long time and have been, working really hard, to keep us protected and to
Mhm.
make big changes for us. So everybody has, I don't want to say a lane because I hate lanes, but everyone has a spot that they fit into, whether that's advocacy or making beans or going to, your capital and talking to people making legislature. And um, does that make sense? It's just like, it's
It
been
Yeah.
really
does.
cool to see how many people were affected by that then that are doing stuff about it now, and people who are doing stuff about it then and are watching that happen now. So it's been a very cool thing to watch.
You know, I always thought about the term "reap what you sow," and for years, right, when we think about LGBTQ advocates advocating for marriage equality as opposed to just, being, a civil union, and to see that come to fruition, to see that that court case with Judith Windsor and with Obergefell, and all of this just fall into place, and having that that law struck down, which allowed for marriage equality to be the law of the land for all 50 states. It was incredible. And so that's why the reason why I asked the question is because I know that although you've just started Free Mom Hugs and your journey in this new endeavor began shortly after marriage equality, there must have been a lot of work that went into it prior to, right? In the conversation prior to and after marriage equality, I'm sure it was very different for you and your mom and the people that you were working with at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Marriage Equality Act, I mean, that passed, I mean, not long after I was married myself.
Right.
And, at that time, mom still struggled with that. I mean, I remember I think she called a hotline or something a couple days before just to be like, hey, person who believes in God, is this okay? And, which is, I mean, so weird to think about now, but, again, that's just what we did in Oklahoma. You just had a wedding in your backyard.
Yep.
And like y'all were just married now.
Those are the best ones.
That was, that was prior to Free Mom Hugs coming around.
Right.
And we have made strides since then, but I think what would be really interesting to our listeners to hear from you, especially now that you're working with so many families and mothers and fathers, is what type of things do you say to these parents that reach out, that are confused, that are lost, that don't know what to do, but they want to be there for their child? Like, what does Free Mom Hugs do to help support them?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I mean, it has completely changed since we have had national chapters, because it has taken a lot of that off of us in a way, as far as, the National Board of Free Mom Hugs, because it used to be, me, mom, and Katrina answering emails. Hey, my mom did this, or hey, my kid came out as this. And that's what we did, but now, I mean, so I think about in Oklahoma, where we have 4 major cities, everything else is a tiny, tiny town. Well, you can find a mom in that town. So what we do, I mean, now is just kind of try to organize them with a mom near them. I mean, even if it's within an hour of them, that's a whole lot more than a 3-day drive like it used to be, and so that's just been really a really amazing part to watch happen. And with the chapters being so well organized, we have Erin Ritter. She's our chapter organizer. She does an incredible job, but she just helps them all stay connected, and really keeping people connected is the base of what we do. I mean, there's a lot more and it's random, but I mean, keeping people connected, saying like, hey, I have someone in anywhere in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It used to be, let me Google LGBT center, and that's what we had to do. But now you've got 4 moms. They might be at all 4 corners of that place, but they know what's there.
And now you have chapters in every single state in the U.S., correct?
We do.
And on top of that, you had mentioned that you may or may not be going international.
Well, we've had, especially with the viral, the post, heard around the world, we have a lot of just messages of affirmation from all around the world. I mean, we've had like India, Italy, just people that will reach out and just say, I'm so thankful. And even though we don't necessarily have a legitimate organization chapter there, they're saying, I'm giving Free Mom Hugs, or I've been doing this for years. I'm so thankful that you're organizing. So, I mean, people are doing this and have been doing this. People have been hugging each other and affirming each other a lot longer than we have.
Right.
But the international factor of it is just cool. Again, I go back to that button issue of just like, that logo has gotten around the world. That's cool for us, just as someone who has seen it go from here to everywhere. But just the fact to know, like, that's a symbol. It's like the bat signal, like it can be seen everywhere. And people everywhere know. And truth be told, I mean, the unique situation of having gone viral is that it goes everywhere. It goes everywhere. And so that's been a really great great gift to have. I don't know that any of us would have had the know-how to make it this big otherwise, except for by accident, which is how we do most things.
Right.
Agreed. Well,
So,
Parker, I want to thank you first and foremost for taking time for chatting with us here on the show. I am extremely proud of you and the work that you've done with your mom because I know that you had to put work in there too. And I'm extremely proud of the work that your mom has done, not only for you, but for countless LGBTQ youth all over the world and all over the US. And
And
I
for
think,
herself.
and for herself, that was an
yeah,
extremely, you know, walk of love and self finding herself and
yeah,
finding a way to be
it's a
able to
journey.
to be able to deal with religion, which is very at the core of a lot of people, and
Mhm.
also loving something that she brought into the world. And I think that your
Yeah,
story resonates with so many people, and we're truly grateful that we were able to not only get your side of the story but also get hers and have you both in a way that just really comes full circle, right? To see the relationship that you have with your mom today versus what it would have been like 20 years ago, truly is an amazing thing to see. And not
well,
only
thank
that,
you guys so much.
Norm
helping so many people in the
Normally I'm the
process.
crier. You're like tearing up over there.
It's incredible,
um
it's
I this whole time I'm amazed that I haven't cried. I'm not joking, we just cry all the time. I'm so glad I don't wear makeup.
same
Uh,
cannot be said for
No.
him over here, but that's okay.
Well, I
But
cry and I sweat. I do those two things, I guess.
but
Yeah.
seriously, Parker, if there's ever an update or something that you guys are working on that you want to put out there, and we can help in any way,
Absolutely.
we're absolutely more than willing to do that. Because as we say to all of our guests, and we said this to your mom, once you're a guest on Gay Talk, your family. You can't get rid of us. We will hound you and bother you and say come back on and say a couple of things. Um,
Yeah, I love it.
so the last thing that's left to say is please tell us where if people would need to reach out to you or to your organization Free Mom Hugs, how can they do that? Are you on social media? Do you have a website,
Yeah.
etc.?
Yeah. So to find out more about Free Mom Hugs, our website is www.freemomhugs.org. You can also find your chapters there. There are a lot of chapter pages for almost every chapter in the US on Facebook, but you can definitely find them all on our website. And there's a lot of information on there. We've got great things on there. Um, um, my email, if anyone would like to have me on the show or mom on the show, just send us an email. You can find them on there as well. My email is parker@freemomhugs.org. Or just find me on social media. I'm around.
You're around, which is good. I love it. I love it. So I guess that's pretty much all that's left to say. I'm just so thankful that you came on the show. I'm thankful for the work that you're doing for all of the LGBTQ youth around the U.S. Because truly, sometimes all we need is just a hug.
Hmm. Or an elbow bump or a high five.
That's right. So
Yeah.
so thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Well,
We're
thank you
super
all so
honored.
much. It was such a pleasure, and I hope to talk to you guys again soon.
We'll have you back on. Trust me.
you will.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, ladies and gents, that of course was Parker Cunningham. The story of him and his mom and their journey is just incredible, and um, I'm excited. I'm excited that we were able to actually have that
Can you pull it
conversation.
together, please?
I can. I can. It's just
Normally I'm the crier.
so here's the thing. It's an emotional thing for me because you know that when I came out, I had my mother's support 100%, and that was beauty. There's beauty in that, right? Because that gives you permission to go out into the world and be who you are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I had the support of other people that I looked up to growing up
Yeah, no, I feel
that
you.
completely changed the way that we see each other now today in this space and this iteration of myself. And I'm just like, it's good to see when things work out in a way that makes it amazing for other people.
In a positive light.
Hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I love seeing all these amazing organizations pop up all around the country right now. Really, really kind of blowing my mind a little bit. We've
Right.
had a lot of them on recently. So please check out our website and pick one and make your financial contribute a little bit here or there.
That's
you know?
right. We feature so many people that are doing so many great things, and that's always a good thing. So, all right, listen, I know that we cannot sign off of this show without at least covering one story. So I'm going to leave it to Trish to discuss one of the stories that you had on here. And I think that
The last one?
the last one would be ideal.
Okay.
It really would.
Okay, so this story really stuck out. I had three. I never have three stories, but
Hmm.
this story stuck out to me. I'm gonna do this really quick. I want to honor a bodybuilding couple, a part of the LGBTQ plus community in Malta. They were brutally gunned down, and so I want to
That's tough.
honor them, and I just wanted to put that out there. And then I also want to
Can
honor
we
the
try in mentioning their names? Is that possible?
Yeah, Christian Pandolfino
Mm-hmm.
and
Ivar.
Ivor
Ivar.
Ivar Maciejoowski.
Masijowoski.
Yes,
Okay. We'll go with
who
that.
we don't know if it was a specifically hate crime, but I do want to honor them. They were beloved by their community, and beloved by social media as well. So honoring them was important to me. I also want to honor another story really quickly that two people recently got married, but with the way they did it was pretty amazing. And I think that as we move forward in life, we have to honor the ground that we have considered our home that was stolen by a people. And
Mm-hmm.
it was, in this case, a Native American community in Colorado. Um, one of the natives married a white guy, cowboy, but they honored the relationship by wearing the appropriate garb, right? So the native individual wore the
Traditional native.
exactly,
Right.
and they actually changed their last name, which was pretty powerful. Instead of one taking the others, they changed their last name to Atav, which means new day. And I think that that was beautiful. And
So they didn't take any of each other's last names. They created a whole new last name
hmm
altogether.
from
That's
the
incredible.
from the Ute language, which was the tribe's language, which I think is really beautiful. And last but not least, we have some really amazing advocates right now that really need to be honored, and I'm going to botch these names. But Kowinski and Mayek traveled to the Vatican City to ask Pope Francis for guidance. As they stood in front of the Holy See, the couple raised the rainbow flag with the words help. Now, this couple is a Polish couple. They're from Poland, and we
Mhm.
know that there's a lot of issues with the LGBTQ plus
That's
community
right.
in Poland right now. We actually have a large number of people that are migrating out of the country to escape the Associated Press's homophobia promoted by the highest levels of government.
Not the Associated Press. The Associated Press reports.
No, noted that
But
the
right.
government is.
Okay, I was gonna say
Um,
what?
Sorry, I'm trying to get through this really quick. There's a lot. In recent years, nearly one third of Poland's municipalities have passed resolutions of basically of Russia
Against.
against like pretty much Russia anti-LGBTQ plus propaganda law. Like they are literally creating environments where there are no LGBTQ plus free zones. People don't feel safe. People don't feel like they can be their selves. But what's so powerful about this to me is that this couple, being Polish, being from Poland, is taking a stand. They are
Right.
putting themselves on blast on social media,
Right.
holding a rainbow flag that says help in front of the Vatican
Right.
when they can be persecuted back in Poland for who they are and who they love.
Right.
And I think that it's really important that we highlight people like this and people like the couple that I just talked about. I mean, there's a lot of negativity going on in the world. Like when I started talking about all of this stuff and honoring that one couple, but there are still people that are standing strong and doing what's right and standing up for our community and for our future and our children's future
And for love.
and it's beautiful. Not only does Free Mom Hugs do it, but there are couples out there doing it every day.
Yeah, and they're very bold and brave because we've spoken about this many times on the show before. Poland, over the past 15 to 20 years, has geared towards a more conservative government, which, of course, that means that at the receiving end of that is programs and people and members of the LGBT community suffering great atrocities as a result of the policies that are being put in place by local members and local lawmakers to subvert the LGBTQ effort and people being able to live their authentic lives. And it's really troubling. But bravo to this couple that went to the Vatican out of all places. To think of the Roman Catholic Church and their stance on marriage equality and gay people in general, to go there and raise that flag and say, we are who we are and we're here and we're not going anywhere. That's huge.
And I also have to give props to the European Union because for, in fact, 6 of the LGBT-free cities, right, have lost funding from the European Union based on the LGBTQ plus propaganda laws.
Kudos
So,
to them.
yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that the European Union is now defunding cities that are passing anti-gay propaganda laws.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's also a great thing. All right, well, listen, we are going to go ahead and bring this home. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. There's so much that we covered. Parker Cunningham was just unbelievably amazing. But we do have 3 more things that we're going to talk about very quickly before we bring it home. One of those, of course, is our
Mama Kim's Minute.
So I'm going to toss it over to Trish so that she can go ahead and tell us what's going on around the U.S. and the world.
I feel like I don't stop talking. All right, everybody. So this is Mama Kim's Minute. Number 1, State Park was renamed to honor legendary trans activist Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes.
Woo-hoo, that was in New
Amazing.
York.
Number 2, new Pride-centric train staffed entirely with LGBTQ plus crew.
God, I hope they're all
Amazing.
drag queens because that would be great.
3, Gavin Grimm is still winning in his fight to protect trans youth. 4, new mural commemorates pre-Stonewall Compton cafeteria riots, which is actually about the BLM movement. Number 5, Anchorage just became the first Alaskan city to protect kids from so-called conversion therapy.
Yes, and that's obviously a good way to lead yet another state into banning the controversial non-therapy, because it's really not a therapy, from happening. We've got currently 32 states, and there are many municipalities everywhere that ban conversion therapy as a practice, and I think that it needs to be banned nationwide. I think that it's time for us to just say it needs to go away.
Get rid of those backyard psychologists.
Right.
And also the administration that we currently have.
Seriously. And that's another thing.
Register to vote.
Register to vote. Listen, there is a generic website that it's all US. I check it all the time. I make sure that I'm registered, and I constantly check on my registration to make sure that nothing is happening. But really do your due diligence, find out what your options are in your state, and go out there and vote. Make sure you do that. That's important. All right, so Jay, we're gonna hand over to you the reins of our Gay Talk term, and of course, our Gay Talk term is brought to you by
GayRealEstate.com.
You got it. You better work. What's our
I'm
Gay Talk term?
practicing. Catalog queen.
And what is a catalog queen, Jay?
A homosexual who collects physique magazines for masturbation purposes.
We pegged you today.
Probably.
Yeah.
You could call me a catalog queen.
Ours gonna lift up the mattress and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, this has been under here for 20 years, Jay. What are we doing?
Hey, that's why we have the internet now.
That's right.
Those pages are stiff as a board.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, so on this day in gay history, of course, brought to you by GayRealEstate.com, is the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal ruling in favor of prisons respecting sex reassignment when August 31st in 2001, where Canada. The
Of
Canadian
course.
Chris. The Canadian Human Rights Tribunal concludes that sections 30 and 31 of Correctional Services of Canada constitute discrimination on the basis of sex and disability with regard to the Canadian Human Rights Act. Sections 30 and 31 had led to Cynthia Kavanaugh, a transsexual male to female who had been sentenced to life imprisoned for murder in 1989, being sent to the institution for men and prohibited sex reassignment surgery for her despite the trial's judge recommendation. So basically what that's saying is they pass a law which means that prisoners can have
Sexual reassignment surgery.
yeah, that was
Which
a
is
lot.
amazing. Yeah, that was a lot to read. I'm proud of you. All right, well, listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love the show, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your web browser or your favorite device as soon as the episodes are published. You can also support us on Patreon, which allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation, which we collect monthly and can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Jay?
Next week is Labor Day and all about the dish.
That's right, which
Ooh.
means we don't have a guest. Not yet.
And we don't know who will be here.
And we don't know who will be here, but we will have people in the studio and we will be doing a show for you as we always do traditionally every year.
All right. So thank you to our guest, Parker Cunningham, and for all of his and his mother's amazing work with Free Mom Hugs. And don't forget, everybody, get your discount for the Future Method today. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury and or STDs. The first of its kind, doctor-developed formula gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. And now you can use code GayTalk20 for 20% off, valid for one purchase or one subscription per person.
So I want to point out that she rewrote this a little bit today and she sent it to me and I put it in and she still fucked it up.
One word.
But I'm proud of you.
I want to know.
I've been wanting to record that for so long, and you won't let me.
No.
You do it so that you can make fun of me when I screw
Yes.
something up.
And I love it.
Will they ship out of state?
Yeah,
Yes.
they shipped all over the U.S.
Puerto Rico?
They might. I
Yeah.
believe so.
Okay.
But keep in mind that Future Method is one of the products developed by Bespoke Surgical and Dr. Ghosteen and some associates of his that is completely amazing. And so you want to make sure that if you're bottoming, dish it out.
Oh my
It's amazing. So Jay,
That didn't sound like bottoming, but okay.
what are we doing? Should we put something on it?
Yeah.
Of course.
What do we put on it? What's in blue?
What is in blue? Put a rubber on it.
Yes.
Yes, let's wrap it up.
Okay, our show is available on our website, gaytalk20.com, under the show and episodes. It is also available at free download on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher Radio.
Yes, Queen.
All right. Nick announces you can find us on social media: Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0, Twitter at GayTalk20. You can email us at gaytalk2.0@gmail.com. Tom, take it away.
And if you need to reach out to us, just head on over to our website. Click on the Contact Us tab located at the top of the web browser there. You can leave comments. You can suggest topics. You can leave a question for the cast or an individual host, or you can call us by leaving us a voice message with your question. We can answer those for you on the show. The phone number is 334-GAY-TALK. If you need all those digits, it is 334-429-8255. Don't forget that we do stream live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night. Bye! Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.